Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nanira binti Mahmud and I'm your biology form 5 teacher, and today we're gonna proceed on the new chapter. But before we start, I would like to ask you a question. So here I have a plant and animals, which is rabbit. So apart from being synthesize their own food, what are the characteristics that make human or animals to be different with the plant? Yes, you are right. We as a human or animals will be able to move from one place to another place, but plant can't. Therefore, this is what we are going to discuss on this chapter, which is supports and locomotion. So, let's look to the learning outcome. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the necessity for support and locomotion in human and animals. Besides that, you also should be able to describe the problem that could be faced by human and animals in support and locomotion. Lastly, you also must be able to explain how problem and support in locomotion are overcome in human and animals. Next, what is locomotion? So, locomotion is the ability of organism to move the whole body from one place to another place. So, it differs if we compare to the movement. Movement which refer to the movement of the part of body without moving from one position. For example, if we bend our arm and we straighten our arm, that we call it as a movement. So, if we compare to the locomotion, locomotion is actually where the whole body move from one location to another location, that we call it as a loop. As you know that in multicellular organism, our body is made up of soft body tissue that is collapsible. Therefore, we need a strong and rigid framework to support our soft body tissue. How human and animals can move from one place to another place, and how soft body tissue are being supported. Animal and human can walk, jump, crawl, and run. But it is not normal for us as a human being to crawl or jump. Most of the time, we just walk. Certain animals such as kangaroo, move about by jumping, and fish and some of the mammals are swimming. Next, we look to the necessity for the locomotion in human and animals. So here, there are 4 necessities for locomotion in human and animals. The first one, animals or human are moved from one place to another place to look for shelter and breeding ground, like a frog. Frogs are live in the lake, but their breeding ground is either in the pond or stream. The second one is we move from one location to another location to look for mating partner to continue our generation. The third one is escape from predators. For example, when we are chased by the dog, our body enables us to run away or escape away from the dog. So the next one is we move from one location to another location to look for food and water in order to survive. The muscle need a strong support system against the force of the contraction may be applied. Besides that, the skeleton and the support system is important in the animals and the human body, because without the skeleton and the support system, the body of the human and animals will be collapsed and become shapeless. So, altogether we have 3 types of skeleton. The first one is exoskeleton. We have endoskeleton. The lastly is hydrostatic skeleton. So, the animals or insects which in the arthropods, or for example crab, they have the exoskeleton. So what is the exoskeleton? Exoskeleton consists of rigid external structure such as cuticle. So cuticle is made up of chitin. We will found the exoskeleton in the arthropods such as insect, and shell are made up of mineral, which is calcium carbonate that found in the mollusk. So the other runaway is endoskeleton. Endoskeleton consists of rigid internal framework made up of bones and cartilage found within the body, include us as a human. So bones are mainly made up of calcium and phosphate, which is mineral. The calcium and phosphate is actually important to our body because it will make our bones too strong and rigid. It can be found in the bodies of all vertebrates. Next is a hydrostatic skeleton. Hydrostatic skeleton consists of internal body fluid held under pressure in a closed body compartment. As we all know, the hydrostatic skeleton there did not have any framework or bones in their body. So it will be found in a soft body invertebrates such as earthworm, leech, caterpillar, and as well as the jellyfish. So this example of the animals with exoskeleton. Here we can see that earwing, beetle, which is insect, snail that have the shell made up of mineral, which is calcium carbonate, scallop, shrimp, or crustacean, and the last one is the spider. So what is the function of the exoskeleton? The function of the exoskeleton is to cover and protect the internal organ, such as snail have the exoskeleton, which is shell that will be able to protect their internal body. The next is provide shape support. The last one is provide site for muscle attachment and flexible at joint to enable movement. So here is the example of animals with endoskeleton. Here we can see that the tiger, rabbit, elephant, fish, bird, and we as a human. So, what is the function of the endoskeleton? The first one is provide shape and supports. For example, we as a human have backbone that provide shape for our body. Then the next one is to protect internal organ. For example, we can see we have a skull, which is it will be able to protect our brain. We also have rib cage, which is will be able to protect our lung. Next one is the function of endoskeleton is to store calcium and phosphate ion, which is we have bones in our body. So the calcium and the phosphate ion will be stored in the bone. Next is to produce blood cells such as red blood cell, white blood cell, as well as the platelet. Lastly is articulate at joint and provide sites of muscle attachment. We will be able to move because our muscle is attached on our bone, so it allows us to move. So this is animals with hydrostatic skeleton. We can see here earthworm, leech, as well as caterpillar. So what are the functions of hydrostatic skeleton? So hydrostatic skeleton is the body fluid held under pressure and constant volume form an incompressible skeleton for the muscle to contract to bring about locomotion. So in the hydrostatic skeleton, there are the body fluid in the cavity. So it allows the hydrostatic skeleton organism to move. Hydrostatic skeleton also will be able to provide shape and support. So, let's look to the problem that could be faced by humans and animals in support and locomotion. First of all, locomotion requires support that is suited for moving in water, air, and land. As we all know, water is medium of support but is dense, viscous, resist movement. For instance, for those animals who are moved about by swimming, such as fish, they could face the problem, but their body structure to prevent this problem. For instance, in fish, they have swim bladder that allow them to maintain an appropriate level of buoyancy. They also have fins to allow them to move through the water. So, next is air. Is less dense, but a lot of energy is required to overcome gravitational pulls. Those animals who are moved about by flying, such as birds, they could be faced all this problem, but their body structure are adapted to this problem. As we can see, the bird's bones are hollow, which make bird's body. They also have large chest muscle that allow them to move the wing. Next, the crown provides most land animals with third face for support, but the animals need to hold their bodies clear of the crown to minimize the friction. So, let's summarize the whole lesson. What we already covered for today. First of all, I introduced to you what is locomotion and the differences between the locomotion and the movement. Besides that, we also talk about the support and we proceed to the necessity for locomotion in support in human and animals. Hence, I also introduced to you the three types of skeleton. Those are exoskeleton, endoskeleton, and hydrostatic skeleton. What you need to know is the example of organisms that have different types of this skeleton as well as the function of those skeleton. We also discussed the problem that could be faced by humans and animals during the locomotion. So, that's all from me. See you to the next lesson. Thank you.